Now I'm going to take you, I didn't know I was going to do this, but I'm going to take you a further step, even at this late stage. It might call you to come to the retreat, I don't know. When you start to truly love, when you start to be invited into this love and you let it have your body, your legs, then you're going to know and have a greater capacity to give, to create, and to deepen and to become true, truth itself. What begins to happen is, very rapidly, everything that you believed was you begins to rapidly disintegrate. If you don't practice the true giving of your heart and the silent, still listening to what you are, your mind and your body won't be able to handle the experience of that disintegration. Are you following what I've just said? Because what you're inviting in is your absolute self. And so what it will do, it will come in and it will take over everything that you thought was yours as an ego entity. You following that? It takes over. It's wonderful. Many of the great saints, poets have spoken about how wonderful this is. Which is wonderful, but it's only wonderful if you know what you're doing. It's only wonderful if you're giving over everything to what this truly is. Otherwise, you will think that something's happening to you and you're losing something. But neither will you lose or you will gain, but you will most definitely open to your authentic identity. It will start to happen. Sweetness starts to happen. Depth starts to happen. And most certainly, in my experience, service to humanity starts to happen. And you start to be real, living reality, living awareness, living love begins to be your universe. That's what I'm speaking about. So, in the domain of the masculine and feminine attraction, in the way that I'm speaking of, you have to know what you're doing because you're inviting disintegration. I spoke about this on the 21 day. That you're inviting disintegration, more of it, of who you thought you were, because you're calling for real freedom, your real self. And so there has to be a merging into what you are. What you're knowing is real, but it doesn't have your legs. So you have to let it have your legs. So that requires you to be absolutely aware, authentic in everything that you do. You have to be really alive and ready to constantly give yourself. Now you can see what I'm saying here. It's quite a big deal for humanity. And so we have different levels of this. Okay? But I'm not speaking about a different level. I'm simply speaking about this is all there is. This is right up here, on the peak. This is all there is. You can't get off it. The discovery is you can't get off it. The discovery, this is what it's really about. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This is what it's really about. And your life practice is about the acknowledgement of this to the best of your ability. And sometimes you're going to break down. But most definitely your mind's going to break down anyway. Because truth and love has an agenda to cause you a breakdown, a meltdown. So that you can be it, because that's your destiny. And it knows exactly what it's doing. It knows exactly how this is. And it will bring in everything just at the right moment for you to learn real surrender and the giving of yourself. I get accused around this planet of being very hard with this, but to me that's great love. A woman just wrote to me, she was absolutely She was here in Stockholm, beautiful lady. She'd been coming to me for a few years, but she comes and goes. And she wrote, and she was in ecstasy when she was with me in Stockholm. And she writes to me, I'm not going to mention her name, and she writes to me and she says, it's amazing, Bernie, just being around what you're saying was so beautiful. She said, there's lots of men around me that are calling for this truth, for this real embodiment. It's such fun, it's such beauty, this. And she says, then she says at the bottom of the line, she says, I don't have this with my partner. And so it just let me in, because she didn't tell me that. And so I said to her, I wrote back, I said to her, why are you opting to escape? That you're acknowledging this is a possibility with man, but you're convincing yourself there's no possibility with the man that you're with. So why can't you do this with the man that you're with? And if you can't do it with him, what the hell are you still doing with him? Give him the opportunity to find a woman he can do this with. And she wrote back to me and she said, you're far too much and far too fast for me. Goodbye. That's what she actually wrote. So I wrote back to her and I said, my love, I know you love and I know you experience love, but as yet it's not embodied in you completely. But I know you're true, that you want it to be embodied in you. So why don't you live from what you know to be true and stop playing games? Do you follow the point? Mm-hmm. We think it's somewhere else, but it's right here. It's nowhere else. But we've got to be honest where we are. Because the old mind wants to pretend it's not here. Right? And not feel, and not let it all in. But the new man and woman, they're preparing themselves for an immense opening, a flood of light and love. Because they're beginning to let it all in. And through the letting of it all in, every thought, everything without moving away, their awareness is starting to shine the truth of their existence and the truth of their innermost reality. That's what I'm about. Are you about that in your attraction? And I'm going to leave you with that. Turns you into